Let's construct a truth table involving the if-then. Okay, I already did my P's and my Q's. I needed a not P and a not Q, so I've done both of those columns already. Then remember, everything with a parenthesis needs its own column. So I'm going to do if not P, and if it's not P, then it's not Q. Okay, so let's see. I'm looking at not P and not Q. Now you guys, this time the order you look at them in matters. You have to look at the not P first, then the not Q. With and or, it doesn't matter what order you look at. But with an if-then, a conditional statement, it matters. So if I start with a false, I'm going to be true. It doesn't matter. Okay. Second row, if I start with a false, it's going to be true. Third row, if I start with a false and then go, or excuse me, I start with a true and then go to a false, it is false. That's the only time on an if-then. Fourth row, if I start with a true and go to a true, it is true. Okay, let's look at the next one. Remember, order matters when you're dealing with an if-then, a conditional. So let's look at the next one. It is an and. I'm doing not P and Q. So the two columns I have in orange. Order doesn't matter on this one. When it's and, they both have to be true, one and the other. So the first row is going to be false. The second row is going to be false. The third row, I have two trues, so that's true. The last row, false. Right, so now we are looking at a different color here. We are going to look at the columns that have parentheses, these two columns, okay? Now it's very important. It's an if-then in the middle. So we have to start with the column on the left. This one's listed first. So if I start with a true and then I go to a false, it is false. If I start with true, go to false, it is false. If I start with false, it's always true. And the last one, if I start with a truth but it's proved false, it is false. So the final answer for this one is false, false, true, false. Let's look at another one. Right, on this one, I needed a P, a Q, and a not P. So I have all those columns ready. My first one needs, remember, both of these need a set of parentheses, or a column. Anything in parentheses needs a column, okay? So let's do the if P then Q. So I'm looking at the P and the Q. Okay, you start with a P. If it's true and then true, it's true. If it's true and then false, it is false. Anytime you start with a false, those last two rows are going to be true. Let me erase that, and then let's deal with the next parenthesis. So this one says not P. Okay, so I'm doing the red column. Or Q, I'm doing these two. Order doesn't matter because it's or. It's not an if-then. So if one or the other is true, it's true. So the first row, I've got a true, it's true. Second row, on that one, I have no trues, so it's false. Third row, I've got a true, it's true. Fourth row, I've got a true, it's true. One or the other is true, the answer is true. Now let's look at the last one. We're going to put two columns together here. So I'm looking at both the ones in parentheses. It is an if-then. So I have to start with the one on the left. That's important because it's listed first. So if I start with a true and end with a true, it is true. If I start with a false, it's true. If I start with a true and end with a true, it's true. So those last two rows are true. Now this one, because all of the answers are true, has a special name. It is called a tautology. Anytime all of your last row is true, it's called a tautology.